For Tonia and the Dutch.
Question 4, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, last week I met with Ken Skates, the Minister for the Economy and Transport, to discuss how we could work together on infrastructure in Wales. And I look forward to a productive and collaborative relationship with Welsh Government and with members on all sides of this House. And in particular, I'd like to reaffirm this Government's commitment to building the M4 relief road.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Secretary of State's predecessor long dodged giving answers to questions about the lack of electrification further west than Cardiff. But will the Secretary of State and will the Minister do better and get Swansea and West Wales the investment that they deserve by funding a more integrated system such as a Swansea Bay Metro?
Well, Mr. Speaker, my predecessors felt, and I have to say I share their view, that it would have been difficult to justify spending hundreds of millions of pounds on electrifying Swansea to Cardiff, which wouldn't actually have delivered any increases in journey time. So what we did do was to put £5.7 billion into the Great Western Main Line, £2.8 billion on the Great Western Main Line modernisation, over £1.5 billion on the Wales and Borders route, all investments that have benefited Welsh travellers. And we look to continue to do that, and I will be delighted to work with the Honourable Lady to develop plans for further rail improvements in West Wales.
Please, Savile Roberts.
Dwi'n hefyd yn croesawu'r ysgrifennu gwladol newydd a'i weinidog i'w seddi, ac yn beithio cawn ni cydweithio efo nhw. I think you get the context. I'm wishing them well. Wales currently benefits from EU funding to the tune of £680 million a year, including many infrastructure projects, 4.4 million for Blaenau Ffestiniog, 3.4 million for Tywyn, and 7.5 million for Llanbedr Airfield, just to mention a few in my constituency. But as we leave the EU, we sadly leave behind the principles which underpin such funding, principles whose objectives were to tackle deprivation and poverty and inequality. The old political adage says, follow the money. Can he and the new Secretary of State for Wales allay my fears that after this Tory Brexit, the money will not mainly find its way into the constituencies presently coloured blue on the political map of Wales?
Well, I ddechrau gai ddweud diolch yn fawr iawn am y croeso. And can I assure the Honourable Lady that this government is absolutely committed to ensuring that Wales does not lose out by one penny as a result of Brexit, and indeed as a result of the growth deals that will now be taking place in all parts of Wales. We are going to see hundreds of millions of pounds invested in the economy of Wales, levelling up communities.
Ms Savile Roberts.
And I'm delighted to hear his commitment that Wales will not lose a single penny. We should be building our nation, the whole of our nation. One idea, a railway from north to south, so that we no longer have to travel to a neighbouring nation to go from one end to the other of our country. But the Minister, I hope, has had a chance to look at the iTunes chart, where David Ewan's protest song, Am O Hyd, has been going up the charts. We're still here. It's reached #1 this week. Originally, of course, released in the midst of Thatcher's relentless attacks on Wales. And it might be time to update the lyrics. Gweithio'r hen forest a'i grew, dyn ni yma o hyd.
Come on, answer. Minister. Order. Minister, answer what you can and we'll have to move on.
Well, Mr. Speaker, can I thank the Honourable Lady? The North-South link has been talked about for years, and I look forward to seeing some costs on that. But the East-West links in both North Wales and South Wales have finance available to them, and I very much hope the Welsh Labour Government will consider again the commitment to the M4 relief road. Can I also congratulate David Ewan on that fantastic song and say that as far as the Conservative Party and this Conservative Government is concerned, with the hundreds of millions of pounds going into growth deals for Wales, his other song, I'r Gad, springs to mind.
Okay, Fabricant.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. But isn't the whole point about infrastructure and the M4 something that seems to have been missed so far, unless I missed it during the singing, is the fact that the Severn crossing is now free? Isn't that the whole point that will actually help Cardiff and Swansea?
Well, the honourable gentleman is absolutely right that that my predecessor, who managed to get tolls on the M4 on the Severn Bridge scrapped, has done wonders for the South Wales economy. What we now need to do is to match that commitment that was shown by UK Government in the Welsh Government by getting the M4 relief road built and continuing to support the South Wales economy through a good transport link.
Henley.
Thank you, sir.
Well, over the past week, I've had discussions with the Welsh Government, Minister for Economy and Transport, Ken Skate, and I look forward to working collaboratively with partners to discuss the Mid and West Wales growth deal.
And he will be aware that people in Ceredigion and indeed across Mid Wales are keen to see swift progress on the growth deal. With that in mind, we also consider meeting with groups and businesses in Ceredigion that are involved in some of the proposals to see how we can get them implemented as soon as possible.
Well, can I say to the honourable member that when I was invited to join the government, one of the only things that might have dissuaded me was that I was actually planning to visit Ceredigion with the Welsh Affairs Select Committee, and I believe the honourable member had arranged for us to see some whisky tasting and cheese factories. So I'm going to take his question as an invitation. I hope it will go on to the Welsh office, and I shall look forward very much to accepting that invitation to visit Ceredigion. Jochen Ball.
Robin Miller.
Question number 6, Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, together with the Welsh Government and leaders of the North Wales Economic Ambition Board, heads of terms for the North Wales Growth Deal were signed in November 2019. The opportunities provided by this deal are the latest example of this government's commitment to levelling up communities across the United Kingdom.
Robin Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank my honourable friend for his answer. In the last 20 years, the people of North Wales and indeed the people of Aberconwy have grown used to being overlooked and underfunded by a Cardiff-based, Labour-led Welsh Government. It won't have escaped this House's attention that 7 of the 9 MPs for North Wales are now Conservative. Does my friend agree with me that this represents a new chapter for North Wales?
Well, Mr. Speaker, can I offer the warmest welcome to the honourable member for Aberconwy and say that as far as this government is concerned, we note that the people of North Wales appear to have rejected 20 years of Labour government and have already begun to build an impressive piece of infrastructure, a political blue wall which now stretches from Ynys Môn to Clwyd South. And I look forward to seeing that piece of political infrastructure followed up with physical infrastructure as we release hundreds of millions of pounds in the growth deals into North Wales.
Can I welcome the Minister to his place, and I hope he lasts longer than his predecessors, and I hope I can meet him more than once on the North Wales growth deal, which is more than I did with any of his predecessors. But can I ask him firstly for clearly more money, because the money on offer isn't enough, but also that it is a strategic growth deal and not a series of pet projects across North Wales?
Well, Mr. Speaker, we have absolutely no intention of allowing the sort of pet projects that we've seen money wasted on in previous years going ahead. All of the growth deal projects are going to be rigorously scrutinised to ensure that there is value for money. But at the end of the day, if the honourable gentleman wants to criticise this government for putting hundreds of millions of pounds into the North Wales economy, then I plead guilty, and I'm absolutely delighted to be part of the government that's doing it.
We'll start Prime Minister's questions. Jill Furness.
Number 1, Mr. Speaker.
Go on, Jill.
Prime Minister.